for those who are listening and watching today, we're joined by Adrienne Bankert. She's an ABC correspondent for Good Morning America, and she's also a speaker and a mentor and an Emmy Award-winning journalist, and now she's an author. You've got this brand new book. Welcome, Adrienne.
Oh, thank you so much, Lou, for having me on. I really appreciate it. And I'm telling you, it's a dream come true to have your first book come out. It really is.
Okay, so the name of your book is Your Hidden Superpower, the kindness that makes you unbeatable at work and connects you with anyone. Why kindness?
It's interesting. I had seen in my career where kindness opened doors for me and connected with me with people very organically. Mm-hmm. I always tell people the biggest compliment you can give someone is they're so real. Like, you're so real. And I thought, what is that realness? When you bottle up realness, what is that? And how do you switch it on and off? And my mentor, Bill Krause, he said, I know what you need to write a book on. You need to write a book on kindness. And so I did not plan on writing a book on kindness, but he had been coaching me intentionally in kindness. And I had been seeking out ways to be kind in our profession specifically and among people, because I just love meeting new people. So it just made sense after I finally accepted the fact that, yes, kindness is it. And it really answered the majority of my questions about my own life and how I could help others more.
So if we go back to the beginning when we're born, do you think we're born kind?
I do. I really do. I believe in our DNA, we have kindness chromosomes. I mean, I think that what happens is life is unkind. And as life and disappointments and delays and divorce and all the other D words come against us, we are just messed up and we're not as kind. And honestly, I think it's why we are humankind. And I always use my dictionary definitions because I'm like, I didn't make this up. Look in the dictionary under the kind definition and you will see it's also nature, natural propensity, and determination. And I'm like, that's what we were always meant to be.
Yes. And then we just get sidetracked somehow.
We get hurt.
Yeah.
We hurt ourselves. We hurt other people. People hurt us. Then that heartbreak causes us to kind of lose hope. I remember when somebody said to me, I first moved to New York, I was at an event. A woman I'd only just met an hour before said, don't become jaded like the rest of us, okay? And I remember hearing that word and thinking, do I even know what jaded means? Mm-hmm. So I went home and I looked it up. I love the dictionary. I looked it up and I looked it up in Urban Dictionary. I encourage everybody to look up the definition of jaded in the Urban Dictionary because yes, it tells you in a really raw way that you just short circuit because of feelings of anger and disappointment and frustration and you lose hope in humanity. And I think a lot of people have lost hope in humanity. Yeah. But at the same time, I think that a lot of people have that glimmer of hope. And that's why this book is going to help those folks who really do hope and pray that there is more to life and more good in this world. And I truly believe it is through being kind.
And I 100% agree with you. And I think when I reached out to you, I told you that I had started a lifestyle media company called Be Kind & Co. And so when I started it, one of the messages I really try to push and try to make people realize, because I feel in my heart is, and you said something very similar in your book, is that kindness is a strength. It's not a weakness. And I wonder, how did kindness get such a bad rap?
I think that people have mistaken niceness for kindness for far too long. Mm-hmm. I do not believe that we really know what kindness is. I think that we teach it a lot in schools for children. We've taught it as a way to combat bullying for children. But then as we become grown-ups, it's like, oh, we should all know what that means. That's elementary. But it's not elementary. It's actually very deep. It's like telling somebody, I know what love is, and you're 16 years old.
Right.
It's like, sure you do. Talk to me in 20 years.
Right, exactly.
It's not that we despise youth. It's that children know kindness in a different way. I believe we can learn from children, but over time, that definition has to be deeper. It's like understanding time. We think we know it when our mom wakes us up when we're kids in school. Come on, get ready for breakfast, get ready for going to school, get ready, we got to get in the car. Then we go off on our own and we get a whole nother definition of time when we're the only one responsible for getting up out of bed. And so I think that if we study kindness like physics, if we studied kindness like sociology, if we studied kindness like mathematics, we would find a superpower. And that's essentially what I did. I decided to make kindness genius and look to find the power in it. And I saw it in my own life, and I've seen it in others' lives.
Let's talk about the journalistic aspect of it. You say two things in your book. One, you always act like you have a microphone on, not just at work, but also in your personal life. That is heavy.
I know. And I've really summed it up. Date like you're famous and have the kindness of someone who has their own reality show with a camera and a hot mic on them all the time. And your actions are about to be broadcast to the world. I believe that we're all individual broadcast towers, 24/7 without a word, we're broadcasting something to the people around us. But would you say what you just said in your bedroom out loud in public? And do you think you can shut your mouth and change who you are, or put on a muzzle or a mask and just not think those things and do those things that wouldn't best be suited for the cover of the Washington Post or the New York Times?
Yeah.
So for me, it's about creating that internal barometer of what is kind and what is not, and having muscle memory for only kind responses. That seems like a lot of pressure, but I consider it training, like muscle training, like going and becoming a CrossFit enthusiast. I have to have a fitness plan of kindness because I want what comes out of my mouth at that time when the camera is on to just be a reflection of who I am when the camera's off.
Your mom said, I love this. Your mom said someone is always watching, even if you don't realize it. It's so true.
Yeah, we have an invisible audience now constantly with social media, right? Anybody's a broadcaster because if you have an account, you have people watching you. You don't necessarily see them watching you or see them responding to your post. But my mother really did do that. She trained me without realizing it, that I was ready for the media world, because what my neighbors saw me doing from their windows, when I didn't see them, but they could see me, what my little brothers and sisters might have witnessed me doing when I didn't know they were there, lurking around the corner or watching me from the treehouse. That is the way that I learned to live my life. I was always an example. And it's not about walking on eggshells. It's about developing kindness as more of your identity so that your knee-jerk response is always kindness, making you a better person and the world better at the same time.
But a lot of people might say, some people have asked me before, but you can't be kind all the time. Of course you have like negative thoughts. And I'm like, of course, I'm human, I have negative thoughts, but working through those thoughts, and trying to think on a positive, kind note is what you're right. It's like a muscle. You have to work it.
Yeah. And what is the detriment to being kind all the time? That's my question to them. I would ask them, what would be so bad if we were kind all the time?
I feel like it gets on people's nerves a little bit for some reason. Have you ever felt that way? It's like they want you to be negative or gossip, or it's like, people have said to me actually before, I'd love to see you when you're mad, because they've never seen me really that way, so and I'm like, no, you don't want to see me mad.
No, you don't. In fact, I think that people like us who work on kindness a lot know how volatile we can be, or our emotions can be. I think that we've become intentionally kind as a way to say, I'm going to define who I am. I'm not going to allow my experiences or my life to define who I am.
Adrienne, what about with self-care on yourself?
Oh my gosh. So I've been telling people this line for at least the past year or two. If you don't take care of yourself, you'll take it out on others. And so self-care is ideally community care. You need to have empathy for yourself. A lot of us are losing our morning routines because of working from home, where, it's bleeding into work. We wake up in the morning, the first thing we do is jump on our laptop or we jump on our phone, and we don't get off of it until like 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
And so it's exhausting. So arresting myself and saying, okay, I am going to commit and command an hour of time for just what I need. That could be breathing, that could be meditation, that could be reading, that could be taking a walk and not having my phone with me, unplugging. That could be watching this beautiful picture and video of the beach in Kauai when I enjoyed a last vacation and I put it to music. Something where I can breathe and be still, journaling, painting, working on my goal list, working on my vision board. But doing that gives me more hope for myself and my future, which gives me the fuel to give hope to others.
What about writing this book? Did you, in terms of self-care, when you went to write this book, did fear sneak in there? Did you begin to doubt yourself? And, when you start doing that, how do you walk yourself back?
Fear didn't happen during the writing of the book. The writing of the book was actually pretty easy. I mean, if you've lived a life of kindness and intentional kindness, it actually kind of takes over, right? I'm sure you've experienced that. I think that the fear or the self-doubt came when other people became involved with the project. You know, it's kind of like this is your baby, and now you're about to share it with the publisher, with an editor, and with the world. And it's like, what are they going to think about this story? Or they're telling me to take this out. Okay, they know better. They're experts. And thank goodness for my publisher. I'm so grateful. But there were times when I had to take a stand and respectfully say, I know this story belongs in this book. It has to stay in. Or I know this reference belongs in this book. It needs to stay in. There were other things where they were right, even though I didn't know they were right. And learning that voice, one of the biggest benefits of kindness for me has been how it develops a sixth sense intuition in you. When you use your conscience for other people's benefit, following warm impulses, it actually helps you hear that intuitive voice for your own life. And so thank goodness for not only that intuition, but also for a mentor. If you don't have a mentor, you don't have a tour guide in life, it's really challenging to bounce things off of them is priceless, because I've learned to help myself by having somebody help me in this journey, this adventure called life that we're all on.
Well, you are a mentor. Speaking of, you mentor a lot of women and younger kids as well. What advice do you give to them? Say someone's watching this video and they want to pursue their passions, but they say they don't have enough time, or they don't have enough money, or they're afraid. What advice do you typically give them in the beginning?
I'll tell you a conversation I just had today with one of my mentees. She is pursuing acting, and I've actually encouraged her to do modeling and acting in the commercial space. And I said, you have to believe that you're confident. And she's saying, well, how do I feel that? And I said, don't look for a feeling. Instead, shift your perspective to purpose. There will be somebody you help on the other side of landing that modeling or that commercial job. You're going to encourage the casting director. You're going to be kind to somebody working in craft services. You may meet a new friend who's at the audition with you who needs somebody to invite them into their tribe. When you make purpose the perspective, instead of just looking for a position, confidence will swell in you and provide more than you could just trying to be strong enough, tenacious enough, or worthy enough. Your worthiness will rise when you realize how much you affect other people.
And how did she respond to that?
She started crying. She loved it. I mean, she needed to hear examples, and I gave her some examples in my own life. But the truth is, purpose gives you the perspective you need when you don't have the feeling or the confidence that you say you need to have.
100%. I totally agree with you. Let's talk about your favorite kindness quote. Do you have one?
My favorite kindness quote.
Well, I'll tell you mine.
My favorite.
Mine is, or one of them. I love all the kindness quotes, but one of mine is, kindness is the oil that takes friction out of life.
Ooh,
yeah.
Who did that one?
Well, it's unknown. It's a really interesting, for me, it's an interesting story, because when my grandmother Toot, as we called her, when she passed, my mom found a piece of paper in her purse that was just where she had written down something, and that was the quote. And so my mom cross-stitched that into a frame that's been in my life all my life, but I never even thought about it. But maybe subconsciously it was always there, right? And now fast forward, I'm in this kindness bubble thing, and I just really feel like that influence maybe affected me, maybe not. Maybe I just got her kindness gene or that urge to help people. But it's really interesting. I just find it fascinating. I just figured that out about 6 months ago too.
I think it's a legacy of kindness. I believe that these things are a domino effect. It's like I could never come up with one quote because I have so many running through my head.
Yeah. The message in your book really helps one person. I really feel like maybe that was the reason we were here on the earth, right?
I am the same. We are right here. I agree with you 100%, because that one person will touch another person.
Yes.
And it's a legacy of kindness, just like your grandmother.
Aw, Grandma Toot. All right, where can we find your book, and where can we watch you? Obviously, you're on Good Morning America and ABC News, but is there a specific time or anywhere where we can check it out?
I am here. I am ready to go at a moment's notice. That's my life. As a correspondent, I am on World News Tonight, Nightline, Good Morning America as called upon. But you can find out more about my book at yourhiddensuperpower.com. Also on Instagram, you can follow me at AB on TV. We've also started a Facebook and Instagram for the book at The Unbeatable Kind, because I truly believe kindness makes you unstoppable.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm excited. We have a book club coming out in July. We also have an e-course for the book that is different material than what you'll see if you purchase the hardcover or the audio version. But all of the retailers are listed at Your Hidden Superpower. And I'm so excited that I was able to narrate that audiobook even in light of a pandemic.